guys, it's Taylor and welcome back to my channel. I was tagged by Grace over at Graceful Books to do the reading habits tag, and so thank you so much, Grace, for tagging me. I'm really excited to do this, so without further ado, let's get started. Question 1. Do you have a certain place at home for reading? Not particularly. I don't read in my room as much, but other than that, I've been known to read in my parents' room, in my sister's room, in the living room, in the dining room. If I'm listening to an audiobook, I will read while doing dishes or household chores. So really anywhere in the house is my reading spot. The next question is bookmark or random piece of paper. It used to be random piece of paper, but recently I've just been getting a lot of bookmarks, so now I've been using bookmarks to mark my spot in books. The next question is, can you just stop reading, or do you have to stop after a chapter or a certain amount of pages? For me, I prefer to stop at chapters, but usually if I have to do something, I will finish the page and then get up and do whatever I need to do. But I try not to stop reading in the middle of a sentence or the middle of a paragraph. The next question is, do you eat or drink while reading? Sometimes I'll snack while reading, but usually I like to drink tea or usually just water, but I don't always eat a full-on meal, unless I'm listening to an audiobook once again. But if I'm holding a book, sometimes snacks, but I don't like getting crumbs or oils or water or whatever in my books, so usually I'll just drink tea. The next question is multitasking, music or TV while reading. For that, I'm going to have to say neither. Since I live in a house with, a one-story house with 2 siblings and my parents, usually there will be some sort of music or, the TV will be on while I'm reading, so I try to tune it out. But if I were to, just sit there and read and no one else was there, every sort of stimulus has to be off because I will get distracted. The next book is one book at a time or several at once. I used to be able to read 3 books at one time. However, as I've gotten older, I've gotten busier and I don't have the time. So usually what I'll do is I'll be reading 1 physical book and 1 audiobook. So that way, and I really only read the audiobook if I'm doing chores, or sometimes if I'm cracking sunflower seeds, then I will do an audiobook, but for the most part I will have my regular handheld book. So usually no more than 2 at a time. The next question is reading at home or everywhere? Everywhere. When I have my audiobook in, either if I'm on the subway or if I'm walking somewhere, then I'll read then. If I'm at home here in California, or if I'm in my dorm at university, since I usually have to take a 5.5 to 6 hour plane ride from home to my university, I will read on the plane. Honestly, I will read anywhere and everywhere. The next question is reading out loud or silently in your head? Silently in my head, although occasionally I will move my mouth to the words, or if a passage is kind of confusing or if I'm really tired, I might kind of mumble it to myself, but for the most part just in my head. The next question is, do you read ahead or skip pages? I have a terrible habit of reading ahead, and here's why. When I read The Book Thief, when I was but a young child, it's about 6 or 7 years ago, I never used to read ahead. I never used to skip ahead in books. But something happened in The Book Thief that I was not expecting, and I just remember being so upset that I hadn't known about this beforehand, so I could brace myself for this, that I just now I just kind of read ahead, and it's a terrible thing because I end up spoiling stuff for myself. Wow, this Reese's sure is a catch. I wonder if he and Feyre are going to get together. Oh. But yeah, I usually just kind of read ahead, but I usually hold my place, so I'll read ahead to figure out what happens to a character I like, and then I'll just go back to where I was reading. So it's not like I skip entire chapters or entire pages. I just need to find out what happens to my children so I can brace myself for when it actually happens. The next question is breaking the spine or keeping it like new. I try to keep my books looking new. However, and like my mom always told me growing up, that a well-worn book is a well-loved book. And I've kind of kept that with me. So if I really like a book, then it's weird to say, but I will not be as cautious with it. So if I break the spine, I don't care, because then that means I was, you know, enjoying it so much that I just had to, just read it desperately. But in general, I do try to keep it looking like new, but I don't freak out a lot if something happens to them that kind of damages them. Not beyond repair, but, you know, maybe if there's a tea stain on one of my books, then I don't mind, because then they'll know, oh, I was drinking tea. Typical me. You know, when I look back at the book like 10 years in the future. The next question is, do you write in your books? The answer to this one is definitely. If it's a school book, I need to annotate, I need to highlight, just so when I go back and I write an essay, everything's all there. My copy of Cloud Atlas can attest to that. Let me see if I can... but you see I have highlights, a lot of highlighting here, writing on the first page, more writing on the first page. So yeah, I do sometimes write in my books. I don't do it as much for my, like, not for class books, my fun time books, but I actually did kind of write a little thing in Queen of Shadows. I think it was some moment when Feyre sassed someone, and I think I just kind of like highlighted and I wrote in the margins, not Feyre, Selena, Aelin. I just wrote something like, sick burn, Aelin, and that was it, because I just loved that line so much that I just had to commemorate just how much I loved it. I also wrote a bit in Love and Friendship and other early works, but other than that, I'm not a huge writer in my books that I read for fun. So that was the Reading Habits book tag. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to tag literature reads, reading is therapy, reading is therapy, the never-ending bookshelf of books and girls, and Jessie over at Jessie's Shelf. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I will leave the links to my social media down in the description box below. Please follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, or feel free to shoot me an email. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all in my next video later. Bye!